Hello everyone, welcome to today's story. A quiet morning cloaked the grand Alex estate. Chandeliers shimmered above polished marble, reflecting the anxious eyes of those waiting for a decision that could alter destinies. At the head of the table, Alex's mother smiled serenely beside May's mother. Their voices carried confidence, plans for the perfect wedding already in motion. But inside a private room, Alex sat motionless by the window, heart pounding louder than any celebratory words. Today, he wasn't signing contracts or announcing mergers. Today, he stood before the most defining choice of his life: to accept an arranged marriage with May, a safe, respectable path molded by family expectation, or to follow the restless call of his heart that still belonged to Lytuna and little Henry. Each breath felt like a countdown, and every second tightened the chains around him. The soft murmur of women's voices floated from the dining hall, where Alex's mother and May's mother continued their cheerful talk of flower arrangements and menus. Yet upstairs, Alex's world felt suffocating. His hands gripped the window frame as if holding on for balance while his mind waged war with itself. A knock at the door broke his spiraling thoughts. He already knew who it was: May. She entered with a gentle smile, her dress flowing like spring, her eyes filled with expectation. "Alex," she said softly, "my mother and yours have already discussed most of the wedding plans. We only need your agreement, and then everything will fall into place." Her words, though tender, weighed on him like stones. He forced a smile. "Yes, May, everything will be fine." But his heart betrayed him. It beat wildly, whispering another name: Lytuna. Images of her strength, her tears, and the warmth of Henry's tiny hands surged through his mind. He could almost hear Henry's laughter echoing against the silence of this cold house. May watched him closely. Though her smile didn't falter, her eyes flickered with something unspoken, perhaps doubt, perhaps pain. "Alex," she continued carefully, "I know you're troubled, but you must remember this marriage isn't only for us. It's for both families. It's a union that will make everyone happy." Her words struck deeper. A union for everyone. But what about him? Alex felt the weight of duty pressing heavier on his shoulders, binding him like invisible chains. He looked at May, kind, beautiful, gentle. A woman anyone would be proud to marry. But he didn't feel the fire, the ache of passion, the soul-deep connection that Lytuna gave him. His mother's voice suddenly echoed in his memory. "Do this for the family, Alex, for the company, for me." Anger sparked in his chest. Was he only a pawn to strengthen alliances? A puppet dancing on strings of expectation? May stepped closer, reaching for his hand. "Please," she whispered, "don't overthink it. We'll grow to love each other. In time, everything will feel right." But Alex pulled back slightly, his jaw tightening. Grow to love each other? His heart already belonged elsewhere, torn but certain. He could not manufacture feelings where none existed. Downstairs, the clinking of teacups and laughter of the mothers painted a cruel contrast to the storm raging inside him. Their vision of perfection, an elegant wedding, a powerful merger of families, was his personal nightmare. He turned to the mirror, catching his reflection. The man who stared back looked hollow, empty-eyed, a shadow of the leader he was meant to be. How could he command an empire if he could not even command his own life? The conflict roared louder. Obey his mother's will and shatter his own heart, or risk losing everything for a love no one else would ever accept. For the first time, Alex admitted to himself, if he followed the path set before him, he would die slowly, not in body, but in soul. The tension escalated when Alex descended to the main hall later that evening. His mother sat gracefully at the long oak table, May and her mother beside her. Their calm faces betrayed no hint of the storm raging in Alex's heart. "Alex," his mother began, her tone dripping with practiced warmth, "May is a wonderful woman. You two will build a future that honors both our families. Tonight I expect your full commitment." Her words were not a suggestion, they were a verdict. Alex inhaled sharply. "Mother, I respect your wishes, but my heart—" Before he could finish, her voice cut him off like a blade. "Your heart?" She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "A man does not build dynasties with his heart. He builds with loyalty, duty, and sacrifice. Love is fleeting. Legacy is eternal." Gasps fluttered around the room. Even May's lips parted slightly, uneasy at the sharpness of those words. Then came the ultimatum, cold and merciless. "If you marry Lytuna, you are no longer my son. You will be stripped of your inheritance, the company, everything. Choose her, and you choose exile." The silence that followed was suffocating. The chandeliers above seemed to flicker under the weight of her decree. Alex's fists tightened. He wanted to argue, to shout. But then, faintly, he heard a sound near the doorway. A small gasp. Turning his head, his eyes widened. Lytuna stood just beyond the threshold, her hand pressed to her mouth. Henry clutched tightly against her side. She had heard everything. Her heart thundered as his mother's cruel words echoed in her ears. No inheritance, no company, no future. Tears welled as guilt consumed her. She whispered to herself, "Alex, I can't let you lose everything for me." Henry looked up at her, sensing her trembling. "Mama?" he asked innocently, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Inside the hall, May's mother cleared her throat, shifting uncomfortably. "Perhaps we should give Alex some time," she murmured. But Mrs. Lon silenced her with a glare. "No," Alex's mother declared, her voice ringing with iron. "Time only weakens resolve. Alex must choose now, his family or that woman." Alex's chest heaved. He could feel Lytuna's presence behind him, though she hadn't stepped forward. He could almost hear her tears hitting the floor. The image broke him, yet it also fueled his resolve. "Mother," Alex said, voice steady, though his heart raced, "I will not be forced into a loveless life. If exile is the cost, then I will pay it." Gasps filled the hall once more. May lowered her gaze, her smile finally fading, replaced by quiet resignation. For even she could see the truth. His heart belonged elsewhere. Len rose, her voice shaking with fury. "Then prepare to live without my blessing, without my name, without everything I have built for you." Lytuna's tears spilled over. She stepped back into the shadows, torn between saving Alex's future by walking away and clinging to the love that had already cost so much. And so, the twist was laid bare. Alex's love had collided head-on with his mother's legacy, and neither side was willing to yield. The room was silent but alive with tension. Every breath caught in throats as Alex stood rigid before his mother. His words still echoed. "If exile is the cost, then I will pay it." Mrs. Land's face flushed with fury, her composure cracking. "You ungrateful son," she hissed, her voice trembling with restrained rage. "I sacrificed everything for you, and now you throw it all away. For her?" Her words were venom, but Alex did not flinch. His jaw tightened, his eyes unwavering. "You taught me to lead, to stand firm, to never betray what I believe in. This—" He gestured toward the doorway, where Lytuna still stood frozen in fear. "This is what I believe in." The murmurs around the hall grew louder. Board members exchanged uneasy looks. Some whispered about scandal, others about bravery. May lowered her head, her hands folded tightly in her lap, her eyes shimmering with tears she refused to shed. At last, Lytuna could remain silent no longer. She stepped forward, Henry clutching her skirt, his wide eyes darting nervously across the sea of strangers. "Alex, stop!" she cried, her voice breaking with anguish. "Don't do this. Don't sacrifice everything for me. I can't bear the thought of destroying your future, of making you choose between us and your family." She turned toward Mrs. Land, bowing her head. "Madam, please. Don't punish Alex for loving me. If you must blame someone, let it be me. I will leave if it means preserving your bond with him." Her selflessness sliced through Alex's heart. He rushed to her side, taking her trembling hands in his. "No, Lytuna, you are not to blame. You've already suffered enough. I will not let you carry this burden. This is my choice, mine alone." Henry tugged at Alex's sleeve, his small voice trembling. "Papa, don't leave me." The innocence in that plea silenced the room. Even Mrs. Land's eyes flickered with something softer. An ache she buried quickly behind her pride. But pride spoke louder. "Do you see, Alex," she said, her tone cold. "That child calls you Papa, but he is not your blood. You would abandon your true family for another woman's child." Her words struck deep, a cruel twist of the knife. Lytuna recoiled, her face paling, shame burning in her chest. But Alex pulled Henry closer, lifting him into his arms. "This boy may not be my blood, but he is my son. I've seen his laughter, his tears, his dreams. I've promised to protect him, and I will keep that promise. Family is not defined by blood alone. It is defined by love." His declaration reverberated across the hall, louder than any business decree he had ever made. The board members gasped again, their whispers rising to a roar. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others nodded with quiet admiration. Even May's tears fell freely now. She turned away, realizing that nothing, no arrangement, no expectation, could sever the bond Alex had chosen. Mrs. Land's chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. "Then you choose disgrace," she spat. "If you walk out of this house with her tonight, you will never return. My son will be dead to me." The words froze the air. Lytuna's knees buckled, her tears cascading. "Alex, please," she begged. "Don't make her hate you. Don't make me the reason you lose everything." Alex cupped her face, forcing her to meet his gaze. His voice was steady, though his heart ached. "Listen to me, Lytuna. I'd rather lose everything than lose you. You are my future. You and Henry are my family. Without you, all of this—" He gestured at the glittering hall, the towering empire, the legacy his mother worshipped, "is nothing but empty walls." A collective gasp swept the hall. Alex's words hung in the air like a final blow, shaking the very foundation of the dynasty. Mrs. Lon staggered back, her hand trembling as she grasped the table for support. For the first time, she looked less like a queen and more like a mother whose control was slipping away. But pride steeled her again, hardening her features into stone. "Then go," she whispered, her voice laced with venom. "Go and never return." The climax reached its peak. Alex, Tuna, and Henry stood united, their backs against the storm of tradition, as the room held its breath for what would come next. The hall was silent, its grandeur reduced to a stage of heartbreak. Every crystal chandelier seemed to dim, every polished surface reflecting only tension. Alex stood at the center, holding Tuna's trembling hand while Henry clung to his arm. Together, they faced the storm. Mrs. Land's ultimatum still hung heavy in the air. "Go and never return." Alex drew in a deep breath, his chest tight, his voice heavy with finality. "If that is the cost of love, then I accept it. If being your son means abandoning them, then I would rather lose your blessing than betray my heart." Whispers surged again. Some horrified, others in awe. May buried her face in her hands, unable to watch. Board members leaned forward, torn between loyalty to tradition and admiration for Alex's courage. Tuna's tears fell freely. She turned to him, her voice breaking. "Alex, please. Maybe if we give her time, she'll understand. Don't sever this bond forever. Don't lose your mother because of me." Henry's innocent voice chimed in, fragile and soft. "Grandma, don't be mad." His plea echoed like a prayer, and for the briefest moment Mrs. Land's mask cracked. Pain flickered across her eyes, a glimpse of the mother beneath the iron. But pride, unyielding and merciless, sealed her face once more. She raised a trembling hand toward the door. "Leave," she commanded, her tone brittle but resolute. Alex exhaled slowly, then guided Tune and Henry toward the towering doors at the end of the hall. Each step echoed like a drumbeat of rebellion, a rhythm of defiance against generations of expectation. The boardroom watched in stunned silence. Some held their breath, others clasped their hands, as though witnessing history being rewritten. At the threshold, Alex paused. He looked back once, his eyes meeting his mother's. They were no longer filled with the obedient gaze of a son, but with the resolve of a man who had chosen love over empire. The doors creaked open. Light spilled into the hall, casting long shadows across faces frozen in disbelief. Would Alex truly leave everything behind? Would Mrs. Land's pride harden into permanent exile? Or would a mother's heart finally soften before it was too late? The answer remained suspended, lingering in the silence, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.
Trong căn biệt sự sang trọng, Alex đứng tựa lựa vào định mệnh, nghe theo lời mẹ để kết hôn cùng ai, cô gái môn đăng hộ đối, hay đi theo tiếng gọi trái tim với tưởng nghe bà bé Entry. Khi mẹ Alex cùng gia đình Mai bàn bạc về một đám cưới hoàn hảo, anh lại chìm trong một nỗi giằng xé. Mai dịu dàng xinh đẹp, nhưng trong mắt Alex đó chỉ là một người bạn thân thiết. Trái tim anh từ lâu đã thuộc về Tử Na, người Tử Na, một phụ nữ mạnh mẽ, chân thành để bến đỗ bình yên mà anh khao khát. Trước sự sức ép